Blackburn Firecrest, unsuitable for the Navy. The Blackburn Firecrest was designed as a British fighter plane to carry out aircraft carrier operations as part of the Royal Navy's Fleet Air Arm. Blackburn had already designed the Firebrand aircraft carrier fighter in the 1940s for the Royal Navy. However, the Firebrand's troubled production, followed by pilot complaints of its handling and cockpit visibility, prompted Blackburn to explore designing a new aircraft. The British Air Ministry issued a new specification call in 1940 in response to Blackburn's new design. The design team at Blackburn sought to implement lessons learned from the Firecrest and focused on boosting the new plane's speed and allowing for better pilot visibility. The British Air Ministry issued a new specification call in 1940 in response to Blackburn's new design. The design team at Blackburn sought to implement lessons learned from the Firecrest and focused on boosting the new plane's speed and allowing for better pilot visibility. However, the Firecrest also saw a troubled design process, much of which was hobbled by changes made to the engine unit. Eventually, 3 prototypes of the Firecrest were produced, with only to take into the skies. The Firecrest was developed by the Blackburn Aircraft Company of Yorkshire, England during the mid-1940s. Blackburn had been known for making other aircraft used in the Second World War, such as the B-20 Focke-Wulf Fw. During the Second World War, Blackburn attempted to develop the Blackburn Firebrand as a fighter and strike aircraft for the Royal Navy's Fleet Air Arm. Although over 220 units of the Firebrand were built, the aircraft was set back by a troubled production which saw it introduced at the end of the war. Both test and Royal Navy pilots also complained of what they felt was the Firebrand's lack of maneuverability, which was described as sluggish, with the controls being slow to respond, and poor visibility from the cockpit with the wings obscuring important angles. Blackburn set to work on designing a new and improved version of the plane, which they provisionally named the B-48, and later it was given the unofficial title Firecrest. This new design would also perform aircraft carrier-based combat duties and be intended to act as a fighter and a strike aircraft for the Royal Navy Fleet Air Arm. In 1944, the British Air Ministry issued a specification calling for a new aircraft carrier-based fighter in tandem with Blackburn's new development. The new aircraft specification would be designed around a Bristol Centaurus 77 radial engine as the centerpiece. In keeping with the specification, the Blackburn design team worked around the Bristol engine at their factory in Brough, Yorkshire. They also focused on improving the cockpit view for the pilot and increasing the aircraft's speed. Like the Firebrand, the new plane was designed as a low-winged, single-seat fighter that had an all-metal finish. Subsequent drafts and redesigns featured the required evolution of the Blackburn B-37 Firebrand fuselage to meet the specification and leave room for the engine. The new design also featured a raised and repositioned cockpit, which the designers moved further forwards down the fuselage so that the wings no longer obstructed the view and the pilot could look down the nose. The cockpit canopy was lifted from the Hawker Tempest fighter and was a streamlined bubble design. The design team then tried a radically new wing design which Blackburn chose after observing the aerodynamic qualities of other fighters, such as the Chance Fought Corsair, the North American Mustang and the Hawker Tempest. The new wings featured an anhedral center section and a new thinner laminar flow wing section on the wing's outer section. To meet the requirements for carrier use, the wings were designed with a hydraulic double-fold feature to allow squadrons of the new plane to be parked closely in rows. Finally, Fowler flaps were fitted to improve the low-speed handling of the plane. Retractable wing-mounted dive brakes were also added. Blackburn initially decided the armament of the plane would consist of a single torpedo or to underwings 250-pound bombs. Design specifications were also made for the carriage of rockets and to underwing Browning machine gun pods or fuel drop tanks to allow for a longer flight range. Subsequent redesigns changed the weaponry to proposing to 20mm automatic cannons fitted at the front of the aircraft. Space was also made beneath for the Firecrest to carry up to 1,000 pounds worth of bombs. Prior to testing, the maximum speed of the new plane was predicted to be 612 miles per hour, with an average cruising speed of 212 miles per hour. The projected range of the first prototype was estimated to be over 900 miles, and the maximum service ceiling was 31,000 feet. The rate of climb was predicted to be 2,500 feet per minute. However, while Blackburn had intended the new design to be an improvement on their Firebrand model, it also met a similar troubled production that caused it to miss deployment into service during the Second World War and pushed the flying prototype stage back further. Although the design process had started in 1943, it continued on into 1945 as proposals for the engine kept changing. In 1945, it was decided by Blackburn and the Air Ministry that one prototype would be finished with an updated version of the Bristol Centaurus, while another 3 prototypes would feature the liquid-cooled Napier Sabre H-Type E122 engine. Although the Firecrest demonstrated incredible speed during its testing phase, the timing of its release and troubled production probably stymied any hope it had of entering Navy service.